What is going on, guys? And let's talk about a very common question I get, and that is, can you switch MOSs after you join the Army? So in this video, I'm going to talk about some of the kind of different ways that you can actually switch your MOS whenever you're either active duty or reserves, and or addressing a few things that you guys might have asked me in the past. And one of the first things that I do want to address is you guys will ask me all the time, hey Matt, can I switch my MOS before I go to basic training? Oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. I picked the wrong one, blah, blah, blah. I'm freaking out. Yes, maybe, right? So this is something that you're just going to have to talk to the recruiter about and hopefully try to get a different MOS through them. And from what I have heard, from what I have seen, from what I've read, because I've kind of double checked this myself, is if you're wanting to go to maybe switch to like a combat MOS, that's probably going to be more likely. Like if you got some desk job and you're wanting to go and you want to do infantry and then maybe switch later, then that's something that's a little bit more likely to happen. But if you're in a, I don't know, whatever job, and then you want to go to a more high in demand job, that might be a little bit more difficult. But again, it all kind of has to line up with your initial enlistment contract, because your ship date with basic training has to line up with your start date of your AIT. Now, one of the biggest things that I try to push on this channel is whenever you enlist into the Army, try to get your first pick. Try to get the MOS that you really want. Do not join the Army in hopes of changing later. And here is the reason why. There's a couple ways that you can switch MOSs in the Army, but the one real big factor, if you're trying to do this like while you're currently in the military, so you join the Army, you go to basic training, you go to AIT, you get to your unit, and then you want to try and pursue a different MOS and switch your MOS. Number one, it's going to have to be approved by somebody, right? So that commander is going to have to approve you. So if they don't want to approve it, then you're not getting your MOS switched. The other thing is, in the Army, switching MOSs when you're in the Army is kind of a needs of the Army type deal. It's kind of similar when you're enlisting. If the Army doesn't need any of a certain MOS, you're not going to be able to get that MOS. It's likewise the same if you're trying to switch MOSs, and the way that's going to be possible, or more likely for you to switch, is if you are in a overstaffed MOS and you're wanting to switch to an understaffed MOS, right? So in the Army, there's 160, it's probably like 170 now different MOSs in the Army. Some of them they have a whole lot of people in them, right? The Signal Corps, that whole thing, what I am a part of, the Signal Corps, they have a lot of people in all those different MOSs. They're kind of overstaffed. If you're wanting to switch to another MOS, I can't think of something that's understaffed. I will leave a link in the description. I did find something good, now that I'm thinking about it, about I think probably about 20 different MOSs that are understaffed that you could probably switch to if you wanted to, if that's what you're wanting to do. So check that out in the description. But if you're wanting to switch from an overstaffed MOS, possibly Signal, to a different MOS, I don't really know what that would be, but then that's going to be the case. But if you're in an understaffed MOS, meaning that the Army doesn't have as many of those types of soldiers as they need, and you're trying to switch to a normal staffed or an overstaffed MOS, that's 99.99 times out of 100 going to get denied straight off the bat. Like, you're not going to be able to switch from understaffed to overstaffed. So if you're joining the Army and you are going into an MOS and it happens to be an overstaffed or an understaffed MOS, and the one that you really want is overstaffed because you probably really want it, something that's probably really nice, it's going to have a lot of benefits, it's going to have a lot of things that a lot of people want to do, so it's overstaffed, the likelihood of you switching later on in your career is going to be very low. The other two limiting factors on this is, as soon as you get to your unit, you're not going to be able to reclass right away. There's a rule that you apparently, and I hope I'm not wrong on this, but there's a rule that you have to be at your current duty station for at least a year before, wanting to switch MOSs, and then you have to have at least 2 years left on your contract. So if you have a 4-year contract, you go to basic training, you go to AIT, you get to your unit, you're there for a year, so you're at, I don't know, a year and a half left of your, you're a year and a half left, wait, I'm saying that wrong. You're a year and a half in on your contract and you have 2.5 years left. That means you have about 6 months to try and switch your MOS. And this is not gonna be a, just like walk into an office, get some paperwork done, and you're good to go kind of thing. It's not gonna be like that. You guys will learn very quickly that in the Army, paperwork and things, they do take a lot of time. If you are in the process of enlisting right now, you know that there is a lot of paperwork that you're gonna have to fill out, and it's gonna be really no different when you're trying to switch MOSs. You're gonna fill out this like personal action form. You will have to fill out a form saying that you want to reclass to a different MOS, and it's not going to be overnight. So to recap what I just said, basically if you are in an understaffed MOS, it is really unlikely that you're going to switch MOSs if the one you want is an overstaffed MOS. Another thing that you want to think about is when you get to a unit, if the MOS that you have, like they really need you and they don't have any more of you, maybe even if it's overstaffed, and you're like, oh, I want to switch this other MOS, which might require you to go to a different unit or something, then that commander or something might just not approve that, because they're going to be like, no, we need you at that MOS. We don't need you to switch MOSs, because again, this is all going to have to be approved by somebody. You can't just like submit this and then, you know, just have it happen. It's going to have to get approved. And then one of the ways that it could happen is, let's say you're in a unit, if you're lucky enough to where you're in a unit and the MOS that you want is also in the same unit, and it's an understaffed thing, or maybe even if it's overstaffed, but it's in the same unit and you want to switch, that's going to be a little bit more likely for you to switch at that point. But that's, again, something that's out of your control. So the thing that's in your control is getting the MOS that you want when you first enlist. You know, even if you have to wait a little bit to get it, that's kind of on you. If you are in a rush and you have to join the military right now for whatever reason, that might be a little bit different. I know there's some life circumstances and stuff, but if you can wait to get the MOS that you want, like the one that you want, then definitely do that. And the last two things that I want to talk about with re-enlisting or reclassing to a different MOS is, number one, a re-enlistment contract, and then kind of getting out and re-enlisting. So the first thing is they're a little bit different. So once you near the end of your contract, you might have the option to kind of re-up, and then at that point in time, you can try and see if you can get a different MOS. So at this point in time, you're gonna be about 4 years into your contract, 4 years into the military, and in your re-enlistment contract, you can have on there that you will be, you know, in the process of reclassing to a different MOS. So that's a possibility, but again, it's gonna take a while. So if you're wanting to join and switch MOSs right away, it's probably not going to happen. And then the other thing that I think is probably the best way to guarantee that you get the MOS that you want if you switch, it's probably not the most recommended. People probably don't do it that much, but if you get out of the Army and you finish out your contract and you don't re-enlist, and then like the day you get out of the Army, go into a recruiter's office and then try to enlist with the MOS that you want, that is something that you could do. Because if you guys didn't know, when you get out of the Army, so let's say you do your 4 years, you're enlisted, you get out of the Army, you know, let's say a month or two down the road, you're like, crap, I really missed this, you know, I want to go back into the Army. You can go back into a recruiter's office and re-enlist through that, and just, you know, go through MEPS, go through all that process, and you're not going to have to go to basic training again. If you pick a different MOS, you're going to have to go to that AIT, but you don't have to go to basic training again. I think it's like, is it 4 or 6 years? I'll try to throw the number up here, how much time after you get out of the Army can you, or that you don't have to go to basic training again, but I'm pretty sure it's a good amount of time. But if for whatever reason you really want a certain MOS and they're not going to let you reclass to it, they're not going to let you have that in your re-enlistment contract, you could get out of the Army, finish your contract, and then like that day go to a recruiter's office and try to get it that way. I will add in here at the very end of this that one of the things that the Army will do sometimes is they will kind of put out an open call. I think it's like called like an in and out reclass thing. And the Army will say, hey, we need some of these MOSs. Is there anybody out there that wants to reclass to this MOS? If you're lucky enough and you haven't already tried to reclass that MOS, that's another opportunity. But that is going to be what I'm talking about today. That's it. That's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button. That'll be awesome. If you want to check out some more videos, subscribe button. That would be even better. If you're not following my Instagram and Snapchat, social media links are right here. Let me look. Yep, right here. If you guys are not following me, right there. Hit that notification bell button if you guys want to. It would make my day. I hope you have an amazing day yourself, and I will see you later.